Um, Hello, my name is Will Herondale, and I was asked by Snow to tell you some of my favorite books. So, I've never really done anything like this before. To be honest, I didn't really see a camera until today, at least a camera not like this one. But, Snow says that this is going to go on the YouTube. I enjoy reading, so I was very happy that I was asked to tell you some of my favorite books. Snow also said to say that this is day one of the Summer Biannual Bibliothon. It's, I guess, this week-long readathon that has a different challenge video every day. And while I won't be making any more videos except for today's, Snow will, so I guess keep that in mind. And, oh, there's one more thing. Oh, this video was, I guess, created by a girl named Caz from Little Book Owl, so I guess thank you, Caz, for coming up with this idea, and I'm really excited to show you some books that I like reading, so I'll just pick up the first one from over here. So I guess we will start with this one. This is a pretty basic Shadowhunter book. Every Shadowhunter should have this. It's the Shadowhunter's Codex, and you'll see a bookmark in it because I'm, of course, rereading it because you can't read this enough. It's a great book for if you're just found out you're a Shadowhunter or if you want to develop your powers a bit more. They have just some great kind of questions to ask, different types of fighting and downworlders, and there's a guide of all of the runes in here. Let's see if I can find that. That was very helpful when I first started learning because there's a lot of different runes and they can all be very confusing to learn. Can't find, oh, here they are. So here's just some different runes in here, and I myself find it helpful because sometimes, I'll be honest, I forget some of these, and it's just nice to have them. You see the one on my hand is Voyance, and then we have the Angelic rune and the Parabody rune, which I have with Gem. But I won't get too much into that. I've been told I can ramble a bit about it, but I would definitely recommend this if you are a Shadowhunter, or if you're a mundane and just would like to learn more about our kind, because I guess you can pick this up anywhere, not just in my world. So, yeah, would highly recommend getting this if you just want to learn some more about the Shadowhunter world. Shadowhunter's Codex. I really enjoy this book. So I have 4 more books to talk about, and these are all classics. We're going to start with, I think this is the oldest of the bunch. It might not be, it might kind of tie to the other one. But this is The Metamorphosis by Franz Kafka. And I read this not that long ago, and I did enjoy it. It's a very, psychological story. It's a lot shorter than this. It's 58 pages. There's just more for notes about the text that you could read. And it's about this man. Let's see if I can't remember his name. So it's about a man named Gregor Samsa, and he awakes one day as a giant beetle. I'm not sure if it's a cockroach, but it's cockroach-like. It's just a giant beetle, is how I'll say it. And it's about how he and his family have to live with this, because his role in the family was to make all the money and provide his family with said money. But now he can't work, and it's causing a big commotion in this very ordinary family's life. And I did really enjoy reading this. It's not my favorite book by any means, but it definitely was interesting in seeing a family whose one dependent, or someone that they all relied on, is now unable to provide them with anything and what they have to do to deal with it. And also his family is like, it's a terrible family. I definitely would say that he has a pretty bad family. His family is like really rude to him even though he's the main financial supporter in their household. It's just a crazy family. It's a crazy story. It's very short, so if you need something quick to read, I would recommend reading this. I thought it was very interesting when I read it, and it took me like a day to read. So yeah, it's just a nice little classic. My favorite genre, in case you can't tell by this, is classics. I do really enjoy reading classics, and Tessa can vouch for me on that. I read a lot of Charles Dickens. I decided not to talk about him because I feel like his books are very well known, especially if you know me. So I decided to talk about some books that are maybe less known. I mean, I feel a lot of these are very well known, but are just some of the newer classics that have come out. The next book I have is The Giver by Lois Lowry, and I don't know if this is considered a classic, but I would consider it in my life more of a children's classic. It is a dystopian world in which there is no color. I know, it sounds very crazy, but basically there is no memories really of the past. They live in just this like bubble type place. And there are 4 books, by the way. I've only read the first one, but I do really want to read the other 3 because I did love the first one. And there's no memories of before they were in this bubble of like things like winter and color because they were taken away. The Giver is a man who remembers everything. Basically, when the giver gets old, a new giver is elected in a way. I'll explain that a bit later. And the giver passes every memory onto this boy. And it's a really crazy story because there's only one person who knows that there's color and that there's life outside of this and that there's snow. It's not just all the same thing every day. And actually, there's a thing called the Ceremony of 12, which I just read on the back. I had to refresh my mind. And basically, when you are 12 years old, you are basically forced into a job or to apprentice to do your job later on. And you are assigned a job based off of what you've done for the past 12 years of your life. And Jonas, who's the main character, becomes the giver, and he thinks that's a mistake. He doesn't know what he's supposed to do, but eventually he starts meeting the old giver, and he becomes the receiver. I feel like that's kind of what he's actually called because the old man is the giver, and it's his job to learn about the past of their society to help like the government make decisions about what they should do because he is the only one that knows about like the wars of the past, and he uses all that information to help the government not repeat those actions. And yeah, I just think it's a really crazy idea that there's only one person who knows the history. I mean, to me, this reminds me a little bit of the Shadowhunter world in a way. Basically because only Shadowhunters and Downworlders really know about this world. It's not like mundanes really know about us. And I feel like in their world, the giver is like the Shadowhunters. You know a whole side of this world that nobody else knows about. So I would, again, really recommend The Giver. It's another very short read, and it was just amazing. I loved it so much. Now, the next book that we have is To Kill a Mockingbird by Harper Lee. I also really like this book. I read this twice. I read this not that long ago for the second time, and it's such an amazing book. It's about this girl named Scout, and basically her between the ages of like 6 and 8, maybe she's a little bit older. I'm not 100% sure about that. But it's her growing up in the South and just dealing with like racism and sexism, and I don't know how to explain this book. It's like, if you've ever read Tom Sawyer, Tom Sawyer is kind of a like book of a bunch of little short stories in a way, all about Tom. And I feel like that's also what To Kill a Mockingbird is about in a way. It's little tales from Scout's life all intertwined with each other. And it also talks about her dad Atticus and her brother Jem. The character Jem in here reminds me a lot of my Jem. They're both very selfless people, and they're just great influences on the people around them. And Scout's dad Atticus is a lawyer, attorney. He works in courts, and basically towards the end of the book he's assigned the case of defending a black man against sexual allegations. They say that he raped this white woman, and he didn't, but it just really delves into that and how racist people are and how like stuck in their old mindsets they can be. And it's just, to write this in that time when stuff like this was going on is just amazing. And I again would highly recommend this book if you haven't read it. It's won the Pulitzer Prize. It's an amazing book, and every character in here is great. They have such development throughout the story, and I find that there's really no like static characters. Everybody is dynamic and has their character arc. They all just really grow with each other, and I think that's the best thing characters can do in a story, is grow. Now, the last book I read quite a while ago, and to be honest, I don't really remember what happens, and that's The Outsiders by S.E. Hinton. It's about these two like rival gangs, and one of them is the Socias, and I think one of them, I want to say, is the Greasers. I think so. And it's basically just a coming of age story about this boy named Ponyboy and like his brothers and his gang and the rival group from the rich part of town, and just how the boys stick together. And it's just a really beautiful story about these teenagers coming together and really defending one another and creating a family. Sure, Ponyboy's two brothers are in the group, but he really makes a family with the others in it, and it's a great story. I don't remember what happens that much. I might have to reread this at some point, but it was a great story. It's a great book. I, again, highly recommend. I would recommend every book that I've said, especially Shadowhunter's Codex. It's a great nonfiction read, and it's a great informational book. But I guess that's the end of the video. I want to thank Snow for letting me come on this channel. It was really cool to get to talk about books. I don't get to do that very much. And I hope some of you enjoy what I've said. And if you're also doing the Summer Biannual Bibliothon, I hope that you're doing well in it. And I hope that day one was a good day. And I guess I will be saying goodbye now. So, bye everyone, and Snow will see you tomorrow.